A sentence is an independent, complete thought of expression made up of two essential parts called the subject and the predicate. Subject. A subject is a noun or pronoun part of the sentence. It tells us what or who the sentence is about. The subject can either be one word or several words. Let's take one example. Tom runs fast. In this sentence, we are talking about a person, Tom. So Tom is the subject. Predicate. The predicate tells us what the subject does or is about. It describes the subject. It always contains the verb. Let's look at the same example we saw before. Tom runs fast. We know that Tom is the subject. What does Tom do? Tom runs fast. In this sentence, runs is the verb and runs fast is the predicate, as it describes what Tom does in the sentence. It is important here to understand what are verbs. Majority of verbs express physical action. These are doing words. To run, to swim, to eat, to dance, to sing, to hit, to jump, to sit, etc. are all examples of physical action. Tenses. There are three verb forms which English speakers use to talk about the past, present, and future in their language. Tom runs fast. The verb runs tells us how Tom runs in the present. Tom ran fast. The verb ran tells us how Tom ran in the past. Tom will run fast. The verb will run describes how Tom will run in the future. Verbs also express mental action. To think, to consider, to guess are some examples of mental action verbs. Verbs also describe state of being. These are the to be verbs. The to be verbs is, am, are, was, were, and been. These are a small set of verbs that do not express physical action at all. They act as linking verbs. Linking verbs connect the subject to another word in the sentence without expressing an action. They are followed by a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. The to have verbs. The to have verbs are have, had, and has. They are used either as action verbs or helping verbs, also known as auxiliary verbs. The to-do verbs. The to-do verbs are do, did, and does. These are used either as action verbs or helping verbs. Here is a table that gives you a short synopsis of the helping and linking verbs. Now we will study the subject and predicate in more detail with a few examples. A fat cat sat on the mat. In this sentence, we are talking about a fat cat. Therefore, a fat cat becomes the subject. What is the fat cat doing? It sat on the mat. This is the predicate. Note that the verb is sat. Dad sat by the tap. In this sentence, who are we talking about? Dad. Dad is the subject. And what did Dad do? Sat by the tap. This is the predicate. Note that sat is the verb in this sentence. Ted fed his dog. Who are we talking about in this sentence? Yes, Ted. Ted is the subject. And what did Ted do? Ted fed his dog. This is the predicate. Fed is the verb. 10 men see a hen in the pen. In this sentence, can you figure out who are we talking about? Yes, 10 men. The 10 men is the subject of the sentence. And what do the 10 men do? They see a hen in the pen. This is the predicate. It consists of the verb see. A wet saw my pet. In this sentence, we are talking about a person, a wet. It is the subject. And what did the wet do? The wet saw my pet. Saw my pet is the predicate. Saw is the verb. I have a bag. In this sentence, we are talking about I. I is the subject. And what do I have?